Hi there folks. You know, I'm not sure whether this is actually going to get any views at all on YouTube with how the algorithms are and how they regard guns, rifles, firearms as weapons of mass destruction, when really they're tools to enable us to harvest food. Obviously in the US you buy them for different reasons, perhaps, maybe for, you know, home defence and all that sort of thing. In the UK we can't use that as a reason to acquire any sort of firearms. So we have to either be a member of a club, or we have to have land where we can shoot, either game shooting or vermin shooting, or just target shooting, but we need to have permission to go on to certain land, and it has to be written permission, and that has to be renewed every 4 or 5 years, I think. I think certainly the firearms license needs to be renewed every 5 years. Not sure about the written permission. Anyway, you know, what I'm trying to say is that we have to jump through quite a lot of hoops to acquire a firearms license in the UK. It's not so difficult to get a shotgun. I don't even think you need anywhere to shoot. You just have to say that you're a member of a shoot, or you want to do clay pigeon shooting or something, but you still need the necessary cabinets and, you know, all the safety checks and all that sort of thing. And also background checks, like a character background check. You know, and if you've got any sort of criminal convictions for any sort of like violent crime, or probably crimes against money or something, because they're viewed pretty harshly, or like civil disturbance or that sort of thing, you're very, very unlikely to get a firearms certificate. So consequently, not many people in the UK have them now. Back in the day, every farmer would have just had a load of shotguns and rifles lying all over the house and everything. But those days are gone. Now they're all locked up, totally secure in cabinets and all this sort of thing. You'll know what it's like if you're in the UK. If you're in the US, well, maybe it's a little bit more liberal. And by liberal, I don't mean left-leaning. I mean liberal as in old-school liberal. You know, you do what you want, and you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. That sort of thing. Just do whatever you want. To a degree, anyway. You know, it is, well, because of your Constitution and the Second Amendment, obviously you've got that right to bear arms, which we don't have in the UK. God, I'm rambling already, and it's only been a couple of minutes. This is what happens when you don't plan what you're going to say for a video, but I like to keep things real and honest. Really the purpose of this video is just to sing the praises of the 22 or 22 calibre. See a lot of guys, especially in the US, and they're on about like survival rifles and bug out rifles and all this sort of thing. In fact, bug out firearm. Now I see a lot of guys in the US making videos about the various rifles or firearms that they would take out if they were bugging out, or for survival purposes, or if the grid went down, that sort of thing. And I'm absolutely shocked that they hardly ever mention the 22 calibre, because it's just such a versatile calibre, and it's so quiet as well. You know, I see guys saying, oh yeah, my primary hunting rifle would be a 30-06, and I'm thinking, God, you know, instead of little tiny bullets, the 30-06 is about this big, absolutely massive. If you hit anything smaller than a deer, it's just going to blow it to bits. It's going to announce where you are to everybody within 4 or 5 miles as well. So to me that is just a crazy choice. Same with shotguns as well. I mean, they're such noisy, brutal weapons, you know, obviously useful for taking birds out of the sky, but if you understand the thing that you're hunting, i.e. the birds, you know where they're going to roost. You can quite easily take them out with a 22 or even an air rifle, you know, quietly and efficiently. You don't need to tell everybody that you're there, because the first thing they're going to do, if it's some grid down situation, you know, SHTF sort of situation, people are going to be looking and they're going to be listening, and if they hear someone blasting away, it's just going to be like a dinner bell to them. They're going to go and they're going to take what you've got. So having said that, although I do have the option to buy bigger rifles, you know, for the purposes of deer shooting, fox shooting, that sort of thing, I've chosen not to, because it just takes up space on my ticket. You know, we can only get a limited amount of guns. We can't just fill our houses full of them. We have to have a valid reason for them. So, although I've got a valid reason to get bigger calibers, I'm happy with a couple of 22 rifles, 17 HMR and an air rifle. For me, that covers all my bases, you know. I mean, you know, if you guys in the US did want one of these for self-defense, you've always got the option of a 25 shot mag and high velocity rounds. I would definitely say use the high velocities as well in this particular mag. This is a Ruger BX-22, BX-25, because it takes 25 rounds, because the subsonic ammunition, the quieter one, it doesn't seem to have enough oomph to slide this back and load your next round, whereas the high velocities, it cycles a lot better. So I would tend not to use subsonics in something like that. Also, with regard to the ammunition, that little box holds 50 rounds. How big does the box have to be to hold 50 rounds from a big caliber rifle or a shotgun? You know, I mean, if you're using a 12 gauge, bloody hell, they're about this big. 50 of them, you need a pretty big box, and a heavy as well. You know, that weighs next to nothing. Each one of these rounds is only 42 grains, which is, you know, about twice the weight of a standard 22 air rifle pellet. And in a situation where you're hunting for food, you're not going to be, certainly in the UK anyway, you're not going to be harvesting deer every day. You're not going to be after big things. I mean, pigeons, pheasants, crows, rabbits, hares, all that sort of thing, you know. This will take them out no problem at all, without blowing them to bits and without damaging the meat. So really, to me, it's a no-brainer. The 22 caliber is by far the best survival bug-out rifle you can possibly get, you know, because of all those reasons I've laid out. The quietness, the ability to carry lots of ammunition, the compact nature of it as well, the lightness of it. You know, it's got everything going for it. And talking of everything going for it, this particular rifle is a one that I bought maybe 2 or 3 years ago and customized. So you'll notice it's got quite a short barrel. The barrel ends here. That was taken down to about an inch or two, maybe it's an inch and a half bigger than the legal limit. So it is quite a short barrel. And it's got a silencer on. This is actually an air rifle silencer, but as you can see, it's been proofed, because in the UK, although the silencers are the same for air rifles and rimfires, if it's to go on a rimfire, it's got to be proofed. And the crazy thing is that although the silencers, or moderators, are effectively the same for air rifles and rimfire rifles, if you buy one that is sold as an air rifle silencer, it won't have this proofing on, which is basically a proof house signature. It's almost like a stamp on a coin to say where it was minted, that sort of thing. It's basically just to say that it is safe for use on this rifle. It's a pretty ridiculous thing, because I mean, you could take this off and stick any air rifle silencer on and it would be fine, you know, but I don't know, we're a nation of laws. Most of them are crazy. So this particular one of mine is the Ruger 1022, and as you can see, it's the stainless version. That is pretty important for me, especially if you're outside and it starts to rain. The last thing you want to do is have to rub it down and, you know, re-blue it and keep it totally well oiled. I don't like coating a gun in oil because it's got quite a distinctive smell. I like to go out and smell as little of guns as I can, especially if I'm flying abroad, because they swab you with all sorts of stuff and I don't want to end up on a list or on another list. So Ruger 1022 barrel cut down, and that was manufactured by a local gunsmith who did the work for me. I basically just told him what I wanted and he did the work for me. He also did something to the receiver, so when you lock it together you just rack it back and it loads around, just for quick deployment. And the reason that I got that end sight put on there, which most people wouldn't bother doing, is that if anything ever happened to this sight, all I have to do is just flip that up and I can use the iron sights, or iron and aluminium sights. You know, I just like to think 1 or 2 steps ahead. And with regard to the sight, That one is an aim point. Oh god, I can't remember the exact model. Aim point, was it MO-3 or something? It was MO something or other. And this one, again, was bought from the same guy that did the work, the gunsmith. It was previously a police one, and they replaced them every so often. This one had never even been on a gun, so it was pretty much brand new. Well, in fact, it was brand new. Even the nut that secures it had no wear on it whatsoever. You know, it just hadn't been used. So that was about half the price it should have been. Everything on the outside is rubberized because it's pretty much like a military spec scope or sight. And it's got flip up covers on the front and the back again. They're rubberized, you know, really quiet. Now you can't see it, but when I look through there, there's basically just a laser red dot in the middle of the scope. And the battery in these will last pretty much forever. You know, that's a real long-term scope, that one. And although it hasn't got any magnification, it does allow you to use it with both eyes open. That's why it's used for military. Because obviously when the guys are going in, doing some sort of raid on a house, you don't want one eye shut like that, looking through the scope, because it knocks out, you know, 40-50% of your vision. So the ability to use it with two eyes open is something that's pretty important to me. Now the standard mag that comes with this is a 10-shot rotary magazine. As you can see, it's loaded up with a little subsonics. This particular rifle prefers Winchesters over anything else. I don't know what it is about the Ruger 1022s, but you seem to get them favouring, you know, a certain manufacturer's rounds. And this one prefers Winchesters. Now this stock is not a standard stock. I swapped that for the synthetic X-22 Backpacker stock from Magpul. I had to order that from the US, and that's a really nice synthetic stock. Dark green as well, so it kind of blends in. Obviously we haven't got a black or a brown barrel, we've got a silver barrel, but you know, it pretty much blends in apart from the barrel. And what's special about this stock is that it has little hidey holes for you to put survival gear or just, you know, extra rounds or extra mags. So if I tip that upside down there, we've got a little lever there. We'll just click that, wiggle this, and don't want to spill anything. And that is basically just a cap with a good rubber seal in there. And then loaded up there, I've got various fire lighting things. So we've got little tinder quick tabs, matches, you know, waterproof matches, that sort of thing. And with that, to access what's in here, you just press that in and lift that up. And you get two choices with the cheek plate. You get a lower one and a higher one. I went for the higher one. It just worked better for my shape of face to be able to drop my cheek on there and look straight down the sight. I won't take all this stuff out, but basically in there I've got a USB to charge my light, which I'll show you in a bit. Underneath here, where are we? Yeah, you might be able to see it. Underneath there, which I've got secured by Velcro, is a Swiss Army, not Huntsman knife, not Champion. God, I think it's a Huntsman. It might be a Huntsman knife. It's got all sorts of various tools in there. It's a very good knife and it sits perfectly in there. I've got a spare mag in the bottom bit in case I lose my primary one. I've got a full box of bullets, and in the bottom of there I've got a few more bullets. What else is there? Oh yeah, there's a ferrocerium rod inside of here, and there's a couple of Allen keys, which just enables me to service parts of the gun without going to a toolbox. And if we take those two Allen bolts out there, there is a little space in the butt, and in there I've just got a piece of flat cardboard with fishing nylon wrapped round it and a little bag of hooks. So worst case scenario, I can fish. If I run out of bullets, I can catch fish. Right, so that's the storage. What else? Yes. Now the light is a Valkyrie PL Pro, or PL Pro Valkyrie from Olight. And it's very, very good. Any amount bright enough. I cannot remember how many lumens it is, but it's, you know, ample for the 22 sort of range. And over the end of that, I've got a red filter. Now, a red filter serves two main purposes. When you're hunting in woodland and you put the light on, it doesn't bounce back off the trees, so you can scan around and you can find whatever it is you're looking at in amongst all the branches without being blinded. And also, if anybody is looking from a distance towards where you are, a red light, it's practically invisible. You know, once you get beyond 100 yards, unless you're shining it at somebody, whatever you're illuminating the other way is practically invisible. So it just allows you to go out and hunt on a night really quietly and efficiently and effectively, you know, without anybody seeing. And the Olight charging method is like a little magnetic charger. These lights make really good lights. I think I've done a review of this particular one in a previous video. It might have been on my other channel, and if I have, I'll put the link to it in the video description. In fact, I'll put the link to anything useful in the video description. So the magnetic charger just clicks on there. The USB end of it goes to the, you know, power bank or whatever it is you're charging it with, and it charges the internal battery. In this case, I've got a fitting on there which goes to a cable which just wraps around and it ends up here. And if I just go on to the other side here, you'll see that that is in the perfect place for my thumb. So you've got two choices when you're putting this on. You can either hold it and it comes on, and then when you let go of it, it goes off, or you just quick press and it comes on and stays on. You know, so if you're scanning around, you might just want it on all the time, and just click it again, it goes off. A really, really good light, and it's got a quick release on there as well. So I'll take that off just to show you how easy it comes off, like that. And you hear that that's Velcro. I actually fitted Velcro on there, so that's the scratchy side and that's the woolly side. You can buy sheets of this with a sticky back from craft shops, so I've just stuck that on there. It just makes it easy to fit this on there. To be honest, I don't know how people fit this on without using Velcro. Probably cable ties or something ridiculous, or elastic bands or something, but that is just a good option. Shit. That just landed on a rock, but it's impact resistant, so it's alright. Now the reason I got this barrel shortened quite a bit is for two reasons really. First of which is that when I'm carrying this around, it's easy to manoeuvre. You know, if I'm walking up to a wall, I don't have to be 3 foot away from a wall and lift it over the top. I can just basically just lift it up straight over the top of a wall. Trees, it's easy to negotiate through trees, especially if it's heavy cover like under pine wood and you're crawling around. It's just a nice short thing to manoeuvre. If I'm walking along, I can hold this down at arm's length and the end is still about this far up off the ground. And I'm pretty short, so for somebody taller it would, you know, be way up off the ground. It just means it's not dragging in the muck when you're going up steps or up an incline or something. You don't have to hold it up like this, you know, as if you're going off to Vietnam or something. It's just, say, out in a vehicle and you were lamping on a night, although I think you guys in the US can't do that in some states, but it's certainly in the UK, it's quite common for us to just drive into a field with a 4-wheel drive and shoot from the window. So it just makes it more manoeuvrable inside a vehicle as well. Because a lot of UK vehicles are pretty small, especially compared to those mansions on wheels that you guys in the US drive about in. God, some of those trucks, massive. There wouldn't be enough room in my drive to put one. The most important part of this particular rifle is that it can be carried around in a backpack. And the backpack doesn't have to be this big. All you need to do is just pull the receiver back a little bit, and then you've got a little pin here. Push that up, twist, and it comes in half. And then on the other side of the butt there, you've got a rubbery hole. Dear me. Yeah, in this particular part, you've got a rubbery hole. Maybe shouldn't mention butt and rubbery holes in the same sentence, should I? And that takes the non-dangerous end of the barrel in there, and then it clicks together. And that enables that just to go into a backpack. I've got several backpacks that this fits into perfectly. Trying to think of a couple of them off the top of my head. One of them is the Magpul Falcon. It fits in the back of that absolutely spot on. It's got quite a solid back as well, so it means that this is well protected. And I think the other one is is it Snug Pack Rocket? Yeah, I think it's a Snug Pack Rocket. That one fits it in perfectly as well. You've got like a place for a big bladder. It just goes in there. Both those will keep it secure in your backpack, and it doesn't poke out the top. So there you go. I mean, that is a really compact system, and there's all sorts in there. You know, I mean, even as it is now, without carrying any extra ammo, there's 50, 10, probably 70 to 75 rounds of ammo there. You know, if you had to get out in a hurry, you'd still get a hell of a lot of meals out of 75 rounds of ammo without carrying anything extra. Plus, you've got the space for all the other stuff, you know, to light fires, catch fish, that sort of thing. So if you had to grab one thing, boom, this would be it, you know. Sling it in a backpack, whatever else you could grab, and get the hell out. So, I mean, just a quick demonstration of how easy it is to take apart. There you go, it's apart. Ready for storage. It's back together, ready for use. And it doesn't lose zero either. You know, whatever you set your sight at is whatever it'll be the next time you put this thing together and take a shot. I have heard some folks with these particular rifles say that when they take it apart and put it back together, it loses about ½ an inch of zero, but I've never noticed that at all. I'm not sure what range they're trying to shoot things at. You know, maybe it's at 100 yards or 150 yards, it might lose ½ an inch of zero. But if you're shooting things at sensible distances, you know, anywhere between 20 and 60 yards, it's still absolutely spot on. When you need to put the light back on, you just slide it on. Click that shut, and it locks it in. Wrap that back around, and you're good to go. What else? Well, I think we'll do a noise test. So I'll set the camera up approximately 40 yards away from this, and I'll take a couple of shots. We're quite enclosed here. We've got a bit of a bank side, so you'll probably be able to hear it, but nowhere near as much as if it didn't have a moderator or silencer on, or if it was using high velocity rounds. You know, the low velocity rounds, or not necessarily low velocity, but subsonic rounds are a hell of a lot quieter. That'll be my first choice. And I think the other thing is, I'll show you an extended kit that I've got, because these QD clip holes here allow you to attach a strap to this, and if I can remember where I've left it, I'll go and get that and I'll show you what's in there, because there's extra like bug out gear in there as well. I've gone overboard, you know. I've gone overboard. This isn't going to be the best to see, but I will be firing from about here. It's approximately 40 yards away. Okay, I'm not sure how well that mic will have picked it up, because, you know, it's kind of 40 yards away. That's quite a long distance for that mic. But with any luck, you should have heard something, ideally. So to attach the sling, These just go in there, click in, and they hold in really solidly. And there's just a little button on the fitting, press that, and then they pop out again. So I'll set it up how I would normally have it, and then I'll show you how it hangs on me. So if you're familiar with the one that goes in the butt, oh God, so let me rephrase that. If you're familiar with a strap fitting which goes into the bottom of the butt, normally like a wooden butt, on the other end, like on a ring that would attach to your barrel, you would normally carry the rifle just over your shoulder like that. With these it's a little bit different because you're fitting it on here and here. Consequently, I've got the sling upside down. Now, obviously there's numerous ways you can put this. I can have it like that, so I can access these, and when I want to deploy it, I go like that, which is a little bit awkward. Sling it over my shoulder like that. Rifle hangs down well above the ground, keeps both my hands free. And again, when I want to deploy it, I can either just go like that, butt under here, or slide that off and get to it. I could have the pack part of the sling on my back, hold it like this, which is what you see most of the UK coppers with their MP5s or whatever they're called. They kind of hold them like that, so they're just literally straight into action. But that's across your front. It's quite warm across there. I prefer to sling it over my shoulder. Okay, let's take this off and I'll show you what's in here. It's one off and two off. Now this sling is a neoprene sling, so it's got a little bit of a stretch to it. And that's pretty important if you're going to be carrying any rifle for an extended period, because you want something that's going to take the weight and not, you know, if you're going over rough ground, and not just bounce on your shoulder constantly, because all those little knocks tire your bloody shoulder out. I used to have leather straps on my rifles, and if I was walking a long way up and down the hills, it felt like someone was sitting on my shoulder, you know. But with these neoprene jobs, it's comfortable. And then onto there I have a cheap Chinese, I think it's called a strap mount or something like that. You'd normally have it on a backpack strap, so you could have one here and one here. It would fit like that, just to give you extra storage space, you know, for putting things that you wanted out in a hurry without having to take your backpack off and all that, you know. But it does fit quite well on the sling. Again, I'll put a link to this in the video description if I can still find it. There's various forms of these you can get from different manufacturers as well. They're pretty well made and very cheap. Top section has a piece of headgear in, and that headgear is a calibre bar. And I'm going to look ridiculous when I put this on. I look like a bank robber. It's the only time you'll ever see me in a mask. And that serves two purposes. It hides your face. So when you're sneaking up on game, providing it's not a red hot day and you can actually wear this, it just, you know, it just helps you to blend in a little bit, because if you're scoping around in woodland and, you know, behind walls and popping up over the top, you kind of want to blend in with whatever's behind you, and that just allows you to do it. And the second purpose of that is if you had to sleep out on a night, it would keep your head warm. If you're lucky and you've got hair, then you probably wouldn't need a hat. Keeps the midges off as well, I suppose, but as you can see, I ain't got no hair, and I ain't getting on no plane, Hannibal. The second section is a longer one with a zip on, and in there we've got all sorts. So I think I'll put this out on the table and bring the camera in to let you have a close-up look at this. Yeah, actually before I put this lot away, look at that. For those of you who aren't familiar with the 22 round, that is absolutely tiny, you know. So small but so effective. Okay, so in this main section I've got a bit of all sorts. I mean, obviously you can put whatever you want in, but this is what I've got in. I've got a proper little fishing kit, like a hobo hand reel thing, and hopefully we can get that out. And in there I've got a selection of hooks and weights and artificial grubs and all that sort of thing. We've got 3 floats that will be used with this. We've also got some paracord, a folding toothbrush, because I like to keep my teeth clean. A lot of people will be laughing at that, but there's nothing worse than getting things stuck between your teeth, especially if you're eating game and you're getting meat stuck between your teeth. That can be really uncomfortable and very unhygienic. I think I've got 5 or 6, maybe even more, 1 litre Ziploc bags in there, just for transporting water or whatever. And talking of water, I've got a little vial of treatment tablets. Each one of those treats a litre, so that works out pretty well together. Obviously you can store other things in the bags as well. And then we've got a compass, you know, if you're navigating on a night, or, you know, it's in the fog or whatever, and you just don't have any sort of points of reference, or you're in an area you don't recognise. This compass is very accurate. And look at that. You know, it's a very true compass. It's a silver one. I think it was reasonably expensive for what it is. It looks cheap, but it wasn't really. It's a good one, very good one. Doesn't take up much space either. And then in the bottom of there, I have, how many? Probably about 10 rabbit snares. That's like a last ditch sort of a thing. If you run out of bullets and you run out of fishing gear, you've always got the snares. So all that fits in there. So there you go, all that fits in there. Obviously you can just put whatever you want in there if you decide to replicate this. And by showing this, I realise that it will be subject to some sort of judgment by some people, but this gear would work for me. What works for you is what works for you. It could be totally different, you know. So really now I feel like that guy in the memes who's sitting on a seat behind a table with a placard out the front of the table, and the placard will just read, Ruger 1022, best bug out survival rifle, change my mind. I'm sure some people will try and change my mind by commenting, but to me this is my perfect bug out survival rifle. Absolutely excellent. And if you've got the ways and means, if you want a 22 caliber rifle, that's what I would go for. It's so good. There's various other types of 22s. I think there's one called Little Badger, and it's a Remington or a Winchester one or something, where all the stuff just stores inside the butt. I forget what it's called. It's a bit of a fart on to put that one together though. This one, you literally just go click, click, and it's ready for action, you know. This would work for me. What works for you is, up for debate, I suppose. And if you haven't got a firearms license and all you can get is an air rifle, just go for an air rifle, you know. That's still a really, really useful tool in peace times and in times of turmoil. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed having a look at this very important piece of kit, and I hope that my argument for the 22 caliber rifle as a bug out survival rifle hasn't fallen on deaf ears, because, well, deaf ears. It would take somebody with deaf ears not to hear a big caliber rifle, or one without a moderator on, or a shotgun. You know, as I said before, that just announces to the world that you're there. This fella doesn't announce to anybody that you're there. It just allows you to hunt in private and in peace. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.